We have a treaty with Denmark that allows the United States to build as many military installations on Greenland as the United States wants. There's one right there now, and there have been up to 17 in the past. French President Emmanuel Macron, in terms of how President Trump is attempting this, he posted on X yesterday in response to the president's threats of tariffs, quote, "No intimidation or threat will influence us, neither in Ukraine nor in Greenland nor anywhere else in the world, when we are confronted with such situations," unquote. And that's Macron implicitly putting Trump and Putin on the same level. Are you worried at all that how President Trump is making this play for Greenland is doing the U.S. more harm than good?
Yeah. Well, look, Denmark is a very strong ally of the United States of America. You know, I was in Washington, D.C. on 9/11. Our NATO allies, for the first time ever, used Article 5. They sent their own into harm's way to defend our country, which is what the NATO treaty requires. And no country lost more soldiers on a per capita basis than Denmark. But I do think that the current posture, which I hope will change and abate, does threaten to fracture that strong relationship, not just with Denmark, but with all of our NATO allies. But this is not new. It's important that people understand. It was 2019, I think the president first mentioned buying Denmark, and the Danish prime minister, or I think, referred to that as an absurd idea, and the president canceled a trip to Denmark. I ended up traveling to Europe a month later, and then to Iceland to make the case. So I really want to support the president's objective here. I want to encourage people around the country to recognize that we have an absolute national security interest in controlling and I think ultimately owning Greenland. But how?
What if the coldest place on Earth turned out to be one of the hottest geopolitical flashpoints of our time? Greenland, ice, snow, silence, and yet behind that frozen landscape lies military power, global security, and a growing clash between allies and rivals. Today's story dives into treaties, troops, presidents, and a tiny island with massive global consequences. Let's break it all down. Here's a fact that shocks a lot of people. The United States already has a treaty with Denmark, signed back in 1951, that allows America to build military installations in Greenland, not one, not two, as many as it wants. At one point, the U.S. had up to 17 military installations on the island and nearly 10,000 troops stationed there. Today? Roughly a couple hundred. That treaty quietly shaped decades of Arctic security, and it's still legally binding. Greenland isn't some new idea, it's an old strategic chess piece that's suddenly back in play. Denmark isn't just another country, it's a NATO ally that stood shoulder to shoulder with the United States after 9/11. For the first time ever, NATO invoked Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on all. Denmark answered that call, and on a per capita basis, no country lost more soldiers defending the U.S. than Denmark. That history matters, which is why rising tensions, public threats, and diplomatic pressure risk doing something dangerous, fracturing trust among allies at a time when unity matters most. This isn't just about politics, it's about power. China and Russia are increasing their presence in the Arctic. Shipping lanes are opening, resources are becoming accessible. Missile defense systems now require northern real estate to function at full capacity. Projects like a next-generation missile shield, often described as a golden dome, can't work without Arctic positioning, and Greenland sits right in the middle of it all. Control the Arctic, and you influence global security for decades. Quick pause here. If you're enjoying deep dives like this into global power, strategy, and the stories behind the headlines, hit that subscribe button and stay locked in. You won't want to miss what's coming next. The idea of buying Greenland shocked the world when it first surfaced years ago. Some called it absurd, others called it offensive. But strip away the headlines, and the underlying objective becomes clear: long-term security, strategic access, and geopolitical stability in a rapidly changing Arctic. The question isn't whether Greenland matters. The question is how influence should be expanded. Through threats or through investment, partnership, and presence. History suggests the second path builds alliances instead of breaking them. There's already a legal framework. There's already a military presence. There's already shared security interests.
We have a military base there now. There was a point in time where we had 10,000 troops in Greenland. Now I think it's about 200. I think one of the things that the administration could do is simply deploy forces into the region, because the threat that we are faced with continued Arctic incursions by China and Russia is real. The Golden Dome, which I think is a spectacular and visionary idea by the president, will require more real estate, including Greenland, to fully implement it. So we have a real interest here, but I'd rather see us making investments, and I think that would lay the predicate for the people of the territory and ultimately Denmark to finding a pathway forward to the United States being able to take Greenland off their hands.
A minute ago, you referred to buying Denmark, and I know you meant buying Greenland. I just want to make sure for the record.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Greenland isn't just ice and snow. It's leverage. It's defense. It's the future of the Arctic. How nations move now will define global security for generations, whether through unity or division, cooperation or confrontation. The Arctic is warming, and geopolitics there is heating up even faster. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay ready for the next move on the world's coldest chessboard.